Hey guys, we are back. So let's take a look and see where we are. Hang on just a second. Let me make sure we're recording. Okay, cool. We are. All right. So we got our walls completely around where we've cleared. It all has crude oil going to it, so um, we have our flamers and our lasers and what have you, so we don't have to worry about any wandering biters coming in. Uh, if you remember, I was setting up the train system, and we've got it set up. Each of these little plus-looking signs are the circular, four ways so that we can come out and grab some of these other materials. As you can see, it's got a logistics network all the way around it because we added roboports to our blueprint. So that's all taken care of. In order to hook up some of our stuff to our system, because if you remember, we were mining uranium down here. We still got a little bit of it left. I did hook into some of the four ways. This is kind of weird because this did not line up with this, and I couldn't shift by one or two. I had to shift by a bunch and then come back. So it looks, it's got this funky camel hump in it, but this is going away eventually anyway. But that allowed us. We have a train running out here to a 3.5 million uranium deposit out here. So we've got that started. We've got we've got a few other things going. We've got another iron hooked up, etc., etc. So we got it running. The other thing that I did is I went up remotely to orbit, and I got our stuff running some more. But we are currently we are out of our iridium plate, so things have kind of stopped. I set up another 6,000 bots just to keep our system going and what have you. So like I say, we are out of iridium plate. It is producing it. It's not very fast. So we're almost got a load. When we get a load, I'll send it up. Right now, I'm not too worried about it. We did run into a problem. I believe it's Vianet. Yes, Vianet. As you can see, we got no power right now. The reason we got no power is this is backed up, and because this is backed up, I can't put a warehouse in here to relieve the pressure to be able to get my uranium 238 in. So we're kind of stuck. I tried in the hopes that we had enough solar power here to maybe convince the bots to put in a couple of things, and it didn't. So we're going to have to physically go here and get this one up and running again. But that's okay because we have an entire rocket full of cryonite rod, and it will launch regardless. If we get to that point where we really need it, and we haven't gotten there yet. We're waiting on that. I'm not in a hurry for that. We're okay on it. Everything else, all the other planets are running fine. We got the power situated. We were able to go in remotely and add some solar panels and stuff and get things going. Now, what I have been saying that I want to do is I want to automate my delivery system up to orbit so that, if you remember, we've got this all set up, that each one of these sends out a signal that monitors the warehouses, etc., etc. Okay? And we want to be able to have it set up so that we can launch an individual rocket to each one of these pads and have it deliver whichever resource is out. So we need to start working towards that. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to start working the other end of this signal. And we're going to use copper as an example just because. So I got all the stuff I need here. I got a full chest of copper because we'll need it in a second, what have you. So first thing we're going to need is we're going to need to receive that signal. Let me do something here. I just want to set up so that we have power, so we don't have to screw around with the power while we're trying to get all this done. And I am up here where I am at so that we are out of, where are we at? We're up here. And we're essentially outside of our logistics network, with the exception of my roboports on. So yeah, there we go. So we're outside of our logistics network, which is where we want to be. Okay, because we don't want them bringing anything to this other than what we have. All right, so there we go. So now, first thing we're going to do is we want to sit down a receiver. Okay, and we're going to sit this. We're going to put it over here because we want it out of our way. So we got a receiver, right? Now, if we go up here to Novice or up here to Claudius, we'll see that this signal is called channel copper plate. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to set this one to change it from channel 1, and we're going to make it copper plate. So those are both on the same channel now, right? So this is the receiver, that's the transmitter. This will be giving us a signal on the channel, on the copper plate channel. Excuse me. So now I'm going to take a decider combinator, right? And I'm going to take a stack inserter just to show what's happening here. Okay? Right? And we are going to hook up from here to here and from here to here. Okay? So this one is going to be copper, and we're going to tell it if copper is less than, well, let's go up and see what it is right now up here. Copper right now is 34K. Okay, that's what we got in storage up there right now. So we're going to say if copper is less than, say, 32,000, right? 32K, right? We're going to get a copper signal of 1, right? And that's going to come to our switch. Now we could probably eliminate this and just go straight from that to that, I think. But so we're going to say copper equals 1, enable, right? All right, so now if we change this, we said we've got 36 up there. Let's say our copper is less than 40,000. Now this is on, right? So we're going to be reading the signal. Now, like I say, I think, let's try this, just for curiosity's sake. I think I can go straight to here. So if I say copper is less than 32,000, this inserter is turned off. See the red light. If I say the copper is less than 40,000, turn it on. There we go. So that's on. So that's going to give us our on and off signal from up there. So we're reading basically the exact same thing we want to see up there. So that's the easy part, guys. We now have, you know, a connection between there and there. We can read this signal, and if we wanted to, right, we could actually do this, and we could go from here to here, and that would show us that our copper, the reason I put a pole down is if you hover over a pole, it will show you over here. You'll see the signal that's coming in. So we can now see, and I could do that from there. Get my copper cable here, shift, click on the pole, disconnects it. I can do the same thing here. I could go from here to here, right? And it would still show me the signal coming off of here. I didn't have to come from the switch. It could come straight from that. So this shows, now we have a connection between this and Claudius, and we know what our copper is up there. So this is going to be our input signal to turn our system on to say, hey, we need copper. Okay? So that's the easy part. Now, here's the fun part. Here's the hard part, I guess, if you will. We want to go from, we're going to call this our warehouse, right? This is our standby warehouse. We're going to call this our rocket, okay? We want to be able to automatically fill our rocket, all right? Now, this is actually not going to be our rocket. This would be an additional belt system into our rocket because it's going to be fed by 8 different things. But to simplify things, this is going to be our warehouse, this is going to be our rocket, this is going to be the belt system in between to put it from here to here. Okay? So, here's the thing. I don't want to have a partial rocket. I want to have a full rocket. So I want to be able to set my warehouse to say, 500 stacks, because a rocket will hold 500 stacks. And then I don't want it to start filling the rocket until I know the rocket's going to be full. So I need to be able to know when this has enough and when it is empty, right? And I don't want this to be active until it has enough, and I want it to not be active when it's empty. So how do I do that? And how do I turn it on and off? Well, we're going to use SR latches. And what an SR latch is it SR is short for set, reset, latch. When you set it at a state, it stays in that state until you reset it, and it changes states. And it'll stay in that state until you reset it. Now, there's a whole ton of videos on YouTube on how to do that. So I'm not going to get real deep into that. Just suffice it to say that it's one or the other until it changes, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to have this signal, in other words, something that says, hey, I need something, turn on the system. So if we have a chest, that let's pretend now that we've got this, let's pretend this chest, okay, is our space station calling for something. So right now it has a full chest, let's say, okay? If I take a decider combinator and I come out of that chest, and it doesn't matter which color wire I use, I can use red or I can use green. I'm hooked up to the chest. I now can read the contents of that chest. So if I say my copper, right, gets to be less than an arbitrary number, in this case we're going to say 1, okay? Now this may, what I may do is I may set it, I'm gonna have to figure out how much that can hold, and when it gets down to there, I want a buffer up there, so we'll figure it out. But for now I'm going to say 1. All right, so if copper gets to be less than 1, output, and I'm going to say on A, okay? Output on A, a 1. All right? So that's going to tell me, I'm going to put down a pole, rid of the wire on the pole. All right. And we're going to, I'm going to use green for monitoring. So we're going to monitor the output of this. So now I have no signal. You'll see there's nothing over here signal-wise. If I take all of that out, now I have A1. That means it's sending out an A signal saying, hey, I need copper. Send me copper. As soon as I have my copper, signal goes away. Great. But that's only half of what I want. The other half of what I want is I want to make sure this is full before I start filling it up. I don't want to fill the rocket halfway up and then find out I don't have anything, because I want to be able to set the rocket to automatically launch on a full load or whatever. So that's half of what goes in here. I need another half. So what I'm going to do is we are going to use an arithmetic combinator. Okay, I'm going to set that here and set it there. All right. So put down another pole. Disconnect the wire. Monitor there to there. Okay, and then we want red. All right, so now we're monitoring this output, and that output's also going to go to this switch, because what that's going to do is tell this switch turn on or turn off. But what do we want to do? Well, we want to do this. We want to have this signal out of here that says, hey, we need something, come into here. All right, but we also want another signal that says this is ready. So we have to look at both of those signals. So we're going to say this one is A. That's why I said it's A, right? That's our first of our signals, right? And we're going to say A and B, because we want both of these conditions met, right? So we want A and B to be there. Then we are going to output whatever, copper, right? So now right now, because I have no B signal, I'm not getting a copper. Okay? Now we could turn around and we could say, we could put this down just for shits and giggles. And we could put this down just for shits and giggles. And we could go from this chest to this chest to the arithmetic, and then to the not arithmetic, to decider, right? And we could say that if this copper is greater than, whatever, 5, right? We're going to output a B signal of 1, okay? So now, if this needs something, or if this doesn't need something, but this is full, I'm going to get this signal. Let's put down a pole, and put down our monitoring wire. Okay, so now I'm getting a B signal that says, hey, it's ready, it's full, but I'm not getting an A signal because this already has stuff. It's not going to turn this switch on. As soon as I say, hey, I need something, well, we didn't turn this to the right thing. We got to set this. Let's put this back. Let me put this back in here. We're going to say copper, right, equals 1. All right. Because this and this are going to combine into this. This is going to give us our output of copper 1, right? Copper 1, and then that's going to turn that on. And let's put whatever in there. I guess it really doesn't matter what we put in there. All right. So we've got a full chest, which means we're getting our signal saying we're ready, but we have stuff there. So we're getting a signal from here, are not getting a signal from here saying we're ready, which means we're not getting an output. As soon as we take this out, we're going to get our signal from here saying turn, and that wasn't a good example because there's only 4 of those, so it doesn't run for very long. See, so now it's going to run because we're getting a signal saying, hey, I need something, hey, I'm full, So they combine and they give us the whole signal. Now, obviously, we want this to be monitoring this chest. We're just using this to input the signal. So that tells you how we're going to do this. We're going to use an A signal and a B signal to turn this on and off. Okay? So let's go back and take all that back. Let's turn that off, right? Because we want that turned off for now. We're going to put all of that in there so we have a full chest, so we're all set and ready to go. All right, so how do we monitor this in such a way that when it's full, it's ready, when it's not full, it's not ready, but while it's still emptying, it's still ready? And the way we're going to do that is with an SR Latch. So, and I'm looking over here at my notes because I have notes over here that I've written down because I drew this all out on paper first to make sure that my thinking was right. So we're going to want a couple of things. We're going to want let's do it this way. Let's put a pole. Let's put a couple of poles here so that we can reach. All right, because wires will only go as far as the poles, right? We got to go, because I'm going to put this in line basically to get this all set up. So the first thing we want is we want two things. We want an S and we want an R, cassette and reset, right? So we're going to have one here and one here, okay? And then the chest, we're going to monitor the chest. We're going to bring a line down here so that we can monitor the chest. And we want each of these to monitor that chest. So we're going to go here. Now, we could go and daisy chain these. It doesn't matter because we're using a red wire. We could actually use just one red wire, but visually I just want to be able to one to each of them just to kind of know, okay? So this is going to be our set and our reset, all right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell this one to put out an S signal, right? S. If our copper, now a chest will hold 48, right? 4.8K. If our copper is greater than, and I say full, but because I don't want to screw around with this, we're going to say 4790, all right? It'll hold 48. We're going to say 4790 just for this case, okay? And we're going to say S, not R. All right? Let's put a pole here and a pole here. Disconnect these two poles because we want to monitor our output states of each of these. Well, you don't need to monitor the output states. I'm just doing it so you can see what's happening. So, if this is greater than 4.7K, which it is, it's 48, right? You're going to get S1, which is what we're getting. If this was less, you're not going to get anything, okay? So when that's full and ready to go, it's going to say, yep, I'm ready. This one, we want it set to R, which is our reset value, right? And we are, if this is less, copper is less than 1, right? Which means we've emptied this chest. Then we'll get a signal here. Now we're not getting a signal here right now because this chest is full. We're getting this signal, but not this signal. If we take the copper away, it switches. It should switch. Why didn't it switch? Copper less than 1, R, okay, there we go, R1, right? So now we got R1. I forgot to set it to 1. It was set to input count, and we don't want that. We want it set to 1. All right. So chest full. We got our set 1. No reset. Chest empties. It switches. We got our reset 1. We got our nothing of nothing. In the event that this is less than that, but not that, we haven't gotten 0 yet, but we're less than what this set point is. We're not getting either signal. So what an SR latch does is it locks in, and it doesn't care that we're not getting this signal anymore until we get this signal. I hope that makes sense. It's like a light switch. It's going to stay in the position you put it in until you move it to the other position. All right? So now we need to put in our light switch, basically. So we're going to put in another one here. And let's put in another pole next to it so that we can monitor it. We're going to monitor the output. All right. Now this one, we're going to get a couple of things. We're going to get a signal from this one, and we're going to get a signal from this one, right? Okay. And what it's going to do is we're going to tell this that if S, right, which is our turn on signal, is greater than R, we're going to output a 1. Okay? So as of right now, and we're going to output everything. So whatever signals are coming in. So right now it's an S signal because, you know, we could call this something and just change this to something else. I'm not going to worry about it. But the point being, now S is greater than R. All right, so we're going to get that signal that's going to come out. Okay? Now, right now, we haven't really done much other than just transfer what this is seeing from here to here. Because now if we go here, it's nothing because R is less than, we're not going to get anything out. All right? Same thing if we take some of this away. It's not completely gone, but there's the signals. So that's not locked in yet. Now what we need to do is we need to take that signal and bring it back in to the beginning of S. Okay? So it's going to continue to feed this back to S until it changes, right? So it's going to get a feedback loop that S is going to be there, S is going to be there. So if we take some of this away, S is still there. It's locked in until we take everything away. And then as soon as we take everything away, the R is going to be bigger than the S. It's going to send a signal, and it's going to turn that off, right? And our output signal is going to go away. And then as soon as this is full again, we got our signal, okay? So this line is providing a continual feedback of that one, of that S, even after this S goes away, because it's less than what we need. It's going to keep that S in there until this tells it stop sending an S signal, at which point all of the S signal goes away. Make sense? So that's going to give us a 1 or a 0 for out. Now what we can do is we could go from there and we could say make that B 1. All right? So as soon as we take that away, B1 goes away. Right? It's there. If we take part of this away, why is it not there no more? Should be. Right? B1. should be locking that in. Why is it not locking that in? Did I hook it to the wrong spot? No, I hooked it to the right spot. Maybe because I changed it to that. Let's see something here. Right? Yeah. All right. I guess because I changed it from that. Yeah, that's why I did that. Okay. So then what I had to do is I had to add another one of these. Okay. And then this one is what makes the difference. This is the one that makes the difference. So if S, which is what we've got coming out, right, is greater than 0, output B1. So we're just basically changing this from S to B, okay? And then this is going to come from here to here, and then from here to here. So now, like I said, this is or, oops, wrong one. Wrong one. We didn't want it to go to there. We wanted it to go to the other one. We wanted to go there. All right. So here to here, here to here. No, damn ya. Not to the beginning, or not to the end, to the beginning. Got to be careful on where you hook this stuff up. Out, in. Out, in. All right. So this is going to be if S is greater than 1, output B 1. All right. Now let's put in another pole so that we can monitor this. So output to here, right? So now we can monitor all our signals. Okay, so first thing we got some copper, so this is outputting nothing because it's not calling for copper. This is outputting, we got, oh, we're not full. This is outputting, hey, we got a full box of copper. Hey, we don't have an empty box of copper, which means this says, I'm ready, which is going to send this and say, make that signal to B. B is going to say, I'm ready, right? But I don't have a signal saying I need, so this is turned off, right? So if I say, okay, I'm not ready, now I have an I'm not ready signal. I have a no signal there, which means I'm not ready here, which means I don't have my B, which means B signal's not coming in. So I could need copper all day long. It's not going to turn that on because even though I need copper, I don't have copper. So it can't turn on. If, on the other hand, this is completely full and I don't need copper, but I'm completely full, I'm going to get it say, yep, I'm ready for copper. I'm ready for copper. I'm ready for copper. But I have A coming in. I don't need copper. Right? So I don't have an A signal. As soon as this says, hey, I'm below whatever, I need copper, we take that copper away, it's going to start feeding there. But now why? It should feed. I had this working. I had this working. What am I missing? All right, let me make sure I got this right because this was working. Okay, so A and B outputs copper. S greater than greater than 0. Okay. Greater than 0. Because what happens is this falls down to a number less than 0. Because, yeah. All right, that's what happened. So if this is going to be set to less than 0. All right, if S is greater than 0, anything greater than 0, so it could be 0.8, 0.7, point whatever, it's still greater than 0. This will continue until right? It'll continue until this gets down to 0. And then you'll see that'll turn that off. Boom, it's turned off because that's empty. Now our signals have changed, right? And we're back. And then the rocket will launch. It'll put the stuff up there. And then this will fill back up. But it won't go until the next time this says, hey, I need copper. So there's our initial circuit to say, hey, start filling the rocket up and the rocket will launch. Now, the next thing I need to build, and this is what I have to work on, is I have to build a delay in here before this turns back on so that the rocket can get up there. And I think that I'll be okay, because I think by the time this won't be filled until the rocket gets up there. So, because this isn't going to fill instantaneously. But I also have to make a delay that this does not turn on until this is empty and shipped out. And I don't want it to turn on until this has changed. So I think what I can do is I think I can go from that signal from here to here and tell this enable disable less than 1 is equal to 1, right? So if we do this, copper is equal to 0. There we go. So now once that's turned off, now we can start filling this chest again, right? And it'll stay that way until this chest is filled. Let's try that. Let's put another chest here. And let's go down here and get a bunch of copper real quick. We're going to try this, make sure. We're just going to steal a bunch of copper off the line. It doesn't really matter. We don't need a full other chest of copper. We just need enough to prove that this works. To get it started. So let's say that's our bus, okay? So our bus is ready to fill this up, right? So now let's say this calls for copper. Turns that one off so that the bus won't fill up the chest. And we're going to partially unfill this chest just to make it faster. So as soon as that is empty, these should switch and it should start refilling the warehouse from the bus. This is the bus, this is the warehouse, this is the rocket. So the rocket is filled. Now it's filling the bus. Oh. And of course we gotta... Alright, so that won't be ready until that's filled. As soon as that's filled, that's ready and that's ready. As soon as this needs, it'll start doing that. As soon as that is empty, it'll turn that one off, fill that one. And it'll continue to fill it, and it'll stand by ready until we need our next copper. And then it turns it off. There we go. That works, guys. So that's going to let us turn it on and off. Okay? Now, obviously, there's going to be some delay in loading it into the rocket, so these are going to have to be as close as possible. So we may have to do some playing, but there it is. Now, we just need to repeat that 8 times for each launch pad, and 4 times or 3 times or 2 times, whatever it is, for the number of launch pads we have. So we got that. Now, the next thing that we need to prevent it to do is this is a single system. We need to prevent it from 2 systems operating at the same time. So that's I'll have to figure that out next. And I think that's just going to be a matter of monitoring what's going on here and what's going on there and adding another permissive signal to this whole thing. But just from the standpoint of one single set of this doing it, I think we've got it working. In fact, let's bring this over here closer so that now we can actually... Now we're going to change this back to copper plate. And I don't know if capitalization matters or not. I'm going to assume that it does. All right, so this is our A, right? So A right now doesn't say we need it because copper plate isn't less than 1. But let's look at what copper plate actually is. Copper plate is currently 34K. All right? So if we tell this, if copper plate is less than 35,000, send a signal. There you go. It starts loading the rocket. Right? And it's going to move that and what have you. So if this is 33K, this signal goes away because, yep, we've got plenty. It's going to change states, and it's going to stop loading that rocket, which it won't stop. Under normal circumstances, it won't stop loading that rocket until the rocket gets... It won't change states until the rocket gets there and fills that up. So, you know, we'll be okay because we'll have it at a lower value, and boom, it'll change it over. But there we go. That's based on the signal coming from our space station. So there it is. There is one, with the exception of this, which is obviously takes the place of the moving stuff. This right here monitors our copper, and will load our rocket with our copper. We can do the same thing for iron. We can do the same thing for uranium. We can, et cetera, et cetera. And we can set all of these up so that these rockets will automatically up to the space station whenever it needs it. That's the plan. Now, that doesn't take into account crashed rockets. We'll have to figure that one out. And we'll have to figure out multiple rockets at the same time, or multiple requests for materials at the same time, which should happen pretty rarely, but it could happen. So we're going to have to make sure that it doesn't happen. But there it is, guys. That is that's kind of the start of what we're looking to do. I hope that made sense to people. I know I'm sometimes not the most organized when I show this stuff. If you guys have any questions on what I did or why I did it, please, by all means, give me a yell, and we'll walk through this again. But I think this is one more step towards our automation process for shipping stuff up there, and I hope this helps you guys out. I hope at very least it encourages you guys to start learning circuits and to start figuring some of this stuff out on your own, because man, this stuff can be very useful. Even if you're just doing a regular novice base, it's really useful. So there you go. You guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.